My name's Toby Ruckel. I'm new to the area. Been here for a couple of years. Got 2 kids in this school system. Got a wife that works for the school system. I've got a little different view of this than the gentleman before me. I agree with him wholeheartedly, but I've got a different view, and I'll give you a few examples. I'm reading this thing, and really, since we moved here, we've heard every month they want Covington to merge with Allegheny County. They want it, and it's just been over and over. Every time you talk to somebody, say, man, we've been doing this for years and years and years. And I guess, like I say, I'm a little bit of an outsider here looking in on this to say, I don't understand the economics of it. Don't really care about the economics of it, to be honest with you. That's your guys' job to work on that. I can tell you, extracurricular activity opportunities, you got 9 ball players on a baseball field or a softball field. How are you going to expand that for kids if you make 1 team? Instead of now we've got 4, right? We've got 11 football players on a football field. If we make 1 team, how are we expanding extracurricular activities and opportunities for kids? But I guess I don't want to make this an athletic discussion, right? This, to me personally, is it's more a discussion of we've been here for a few years. I work for a large European company. When we relocated, we really had anywhere from Virginia to Florida we could have moved to. We chose Covington for the school system, right? My daughter goes to school in this building. She knows her teachers. It's a very personal relationship she has with everyone in this building. My younger daughter goes to elementary school. It's a very personal relationship. Where we came from, we had 5,000 people in the school system, 2,500 in the high school, or whatever it was, and it wasn't a personal relationship. So really, you probably have a percentage of students and kids that would benefit from that overwhelming number of people and low teacher to student atmosphere that you would have with a joint, huge high school. For me personally, that's the reason we live here. We live here because of your school system, people. I had a free ticket to ride wherever I wanted to live. I could have lived in Savannah, Georgia. I could have lived in Florida. I could have lived in Charlotte, North Carolina. I live here. My kids go to school here because of this school, right? I mean, I could have picked any number of monstrous schools in the state of Virginia to live. If I wanted my kids to be in Richmond or something like that, I could have done that. I just, as an outsider looking into this, and I know there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of heartfelt things here, one way or the other. I'm telling you, I think the people that live in this town appreciate this school and this system. And I don't think they're going to appreciate you throw them into a big batch of thousands of kids. And hey, and really, you guys all remember what it was like in school, right? Most of you, by looking at you, it was just 5 or 6 years ago when you were in school, right? But especially her. I can tell she just got out.
I like that.
To be totally honest with you, right? So, was when you were in school, and you may have been one of those people that you said, man, this is great. I love to sit in a classroom when there's 50 people. Nobody notices me, right? But if you're that one kid that really has their relationship and they know their teacher and they understand their school and they've got friends and they understand the atmosphere, and you put a kid like that in a big classroom like you guys are talking about here, that's not good for that kid. You know what I mean? And I get it. At some point, you got to learn to cope, right? You got to learn that life's hard. Life's not easy anywhere. But I'm telling you, my daughter has excelled here, right? I I see kids that she plays ball with, kids she's friends with, and they excel here. They're comfortable here. This is their school. You put them in a place where they don't have that option anymore. You know. Anyways, that's all I got. I wanted to tell you that, you know, this is not just a Covington local, I've been here forever feeling. There's a lot of people out there that want their kids involved with a small school. They like that, right? The kids like it. The parents like it. It's really nice to be able to talk to a teacher or a principal and kind of know them a little bit. I don't know that you're going to have that. If you consolidate these schools, it's going to be a whole different conversation when we start having that. I do have one question. When was the first year? So the graduating class of what would be the first year graduating with this new school?
The merging of the student bodies would occur in 2023, 2024.
So the graduating class of 2024?
Yes.
Okay. That's all I've got. Thanks.
Thanks for your comments, Mr. Ruckel. We appreciate it.
Madam Chair, if I could, just because I think I have some data that may ease some of his concerns and maybe some other folks attending.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Bert. One of the things that I thought about was exactly the question that he brought up when we began this, and I wondered what the average size school division in the state of Virginia was, and I literally did the math by myself, sorry. If you go to the Department of Education's website, they have a listing of the average daily membership from the previous year. So I went through 130, I think that's losing better. I'm just going to yell, I'm sorry guys. There are 133 school divisions, I think, throughout the state of Virginia. So I averaged all of them up, and that's including Fairfax County. We arrive at a number of 9,777 students for an average. Now, Fairfax County, to be fair, is an outlier. There's 186,000 children in that one school division. So taking them away, but leaving the smallest division, which is our neighbor to the north in Highland County, the average is still 8,600 students per school division. The proposed division that we've talked about would be just under 3,000 students today. And then I thought to myself, well, a lot of people where I'm from are not going to say, well, that sounds good. They're going to say, well, that's not our part of the state. You're taking Northern Virginia, you're taking Richmond, you're averaging all these places that we're not from. So to average the 13 school districts that would be in a circle around us, and that number still comes to 5,000, about 5,500 students. So a consolidated division in Allegheny County, between Allegheny County and Covington, would still be would still be considered a small division, both from the state and regional standpoint as well. So it's important to point that out, because early on in the process, I had people come to me and ask the very same question. So.
I have one follow-up question now that we've heard that, David.
Sure.
Okay, so I guess my next question is, now that we know this potentially would be we're still below, right? We're still below. Why would we say, hey man, we're still low. We're still low. We're not 9,000 kids, we're only 5,000 kids. Good for us, right? Why would we say, man, we should try to get up there? Why?
The answer.
That's my point. That's my thing here is, I don't know that you guys really understand how great you got it here. You're not every place where you're safe. I hear your data, I get it. I totally understand what you're saying. And like I told you when I first stepped up, I don't know the economics. Don't know anything about it. If the economics say, hey, we need to get Allegheny County to this 5,500 person level, so we're whatever that is, I get it. But if you have an opportunity to continue to be blessed the way you are, why change? Unless you have to. If there's an economic reason why you have to, I get it.
Some of the folks in the community would tell you that because we're already a small community,
Yeah.
It's not as if demographically we're very different at all. There would be concerns if you do larger research about school divisions thinking about consolidating from around the country. One of the biggest issues the local leaders run into is if there's a suburban district and an inner city district, and you're proposing consolidating the two of them because geography makes sense, but from a demographic standpoint, maybe it doesn't. We are at least unique, thank you, Darren. We are at least unique in the state of Virginia in that from a geographical and demographic standpoint and a total population standpoint, I mean, we all know and live and work and worship and play together to begin with. So I think a lot of the points that you've made are fair, but there's also a fair debate to be had, you know, about some of those statements, because it can, as somebody who is the opposite of you and has grown up here and then also been outside the area to see how other areas operate as well, there is an opportunity for us, not just with this, and pass or fail. My hope is that we continue to cooperate in the best way we can, because going forward, if we think about ourselves both scholastically and then also economically in the bigger picture, if Covington is competing with Allegheny to a great degree, that means we're not competing with the surrounding areas around us. And by that I mean the Lexingtons, the Lewisburgs, the Beckleys, and so on and so forth. And that's going to be, and that's, don't take that as my opinion, but I think it's at this point, it's a consensus from the folks that have looked at it, is that will be the future competition that our area has, is not inside of the county lines, but then outside of our area as well.
Like I say, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you hearing me out. I just, you know, I don't understand. I don't even, unless there's a, I still don't understand the reason why you have to, what's the reason, right? Is it funding? Is it,
Well,
other than,
I'll just,
right.
I'll kind of lead Mr. Eric to a point here, and maybe answer your question. So, if everybody recalls, the discussion of the merger, most recent discussion of the merger, came up and was presented to us by the county's school board.
And then with that, each governing body, so City Council, Covington City School Board, obviously the Allegheny County School Board, and then the Allegheny County Board of Supervisors, was asked to put 2 members onto the Joint School Services Committee to explore the possibilities. And as far as I would encourage you to take a look at some of the economics. The Joint School Services Committee has put together just a simple Dropbox link that contains all of the documents that we have produced, and probably chief among those would be the fiscal analysis that was done, as I referenced in my opening. Mr. Regenball, Mr. Salmon, and Dr. Salmon is basically the father of the local composite index, which is how schools get their funding in the state of Virginia. So there's a fair bit of local school and then also local, state level finance experience contained in that document. And there's a wealth of projections from the UVA's, Weldon Cooper Center and the like that don't just pertain to school, ADM projections, but also governmental levels, because it's important to understand the relationship between how well the local economy is doing and how that impacts how those jurisdictions are able to fund their school divisions. As we know, across the country, the largest piece of almost every local budget is the school system. So I think if you're wondering as to what the motivation was, there's always ways, I believe, and this is a philosophy of life, we should always try to do better. Whether or not we can or whether or not it makes sense is another matter, but we should always look for the possibilities. So that was what the Joint School Services Committee was tasked with.